Good goals do not always imply acceptable methods of achieving them. This is often seen in the family circle when the eldest forbids something to the youngest, or forces him to do something for his future. This happens even when the younger one is an independent adult and does not need guidance. However, if the older person, or rather, the older one, has already decided to help, then there will be help, whether the others want it or not. Jacqueline always knew she did particularly like her mother-in-law Louise. She had always felt that her precious son deserved the best woman possible. That is, one that Louise herself would like. And she already had one in mind, the daughter of an old friend who had successfully graduated from the conservatory and was a model daughter. But, as is already clear, the son did not support the initiative of his mother. Johnny met Jacqueline through his friends. Love struck both of them like lightning. They dated for 2 years before Johnny proposed and Jacqueline said yes. No, Louise exclaimed at the thought of her negligent daughter-in-law. How could you do this to me? She tried many times to persuade her son to marry this simpleton, but he was adamant. It remained only to put up with and squeeze out of the situation as much as possible. Namely discontent, reproaches, and neat hints to his son that his wife was an unfortunate choice. Fortunately, Johnny and Jacqueline lived on the other side of town and did not see much of Louise. When she did come, however, Jacqueline had a hard time. Still, she was a kind and optimistic girl, so she had learned to accept her mother-in-law and her reproaches as an integral part of life that could be ignored. When all the topics of domesticity and home arrangement were exhausted, Louise moved on to a larger field. Tell me, Jacqueline, how is it that you have been together so long and you have no children? Mom, we're in no hurry to have kids. You shouldn't be, Louise didn't let up. I need grandchildren, and time goes by very quickly. What if Jacqueline is barren? What are you talking about? If we have to, well, adopt someone else's. There was nothing we could do about the son. Meanwhile, Louise was really excited about having grandchildren. She shared her worries with her friend. Don't worry about it, she comforted Louise. Even if there is a problem, I have herbs to help with that. You do? Yes, of course you do. My family's experience. It unleashes a woman's energy. Can I have some? Since that week, Louise had been visiting Jacqueline more often when she was home alone. She suspected something was wrong. After all, her mother-in-law had never visited her alone for tea before. Fortunately, she overheard her mother-in-law talking on the phone in the next room. She didn't hear much, just a couple of phrases about the dosage and Jacqueline herself, but it was enough for the girl to take action. Before she began her tea, Jacqueline managed to discreetly swap the cups, let her mother-in-law drink whatever she slipped her. This happened several times a week, and each time Jacqueline managed to successfully avoid the treatment from her mother-in-law. Meanwhile, Louise herself began to change. To everyone's surprise, she became much kinder. She began to paint and dress brighter. In conversation, she never missed an opportunity to crack a joke or two. And the reproaches and resentment of her daughter-in-law were out of the question. It was as if she had been replaced. Johnny was genuinely relieved to see his mother blooming. He had longed for her to finally take charge of herself and her life. Johnny was even happier when he learned that his mother was getting married. With whom? The neighbor on the 5th floor. He had long been Louise's secret admirer. The wedding was celebrated a month later. Around the same time, Jacqueline became known to be expecting a child. Was it a coincidence? Who knows? The important thing was that Louise had a new life. That Johnny and Jacqueline's family were eagerly awaiting the arrival of their firstborn. And there was no need to know about the mysterious herb from her friend. Can we assume that Louise's well-intentioned goals justify her methods of achieving them? Did Jacqueline do the right thing by substituting cups? And could it have ended otherwise?